Hello everyone, this is Globku and Malhacore. We are Magical Noob taking a look at Bioshock.
Hi there.
Bioshock was first released on 2007 for all platforms. It was kind of a big deal back then. I remember being a big deal, especially on the Xbox. And this is a first-person shooter that kind of looks like an RPG. Really, doesn't really look like your common first-person shooter. Has a twist to it, especially because you not only use weapons, you also have these kind of special powers. They call it plasmids in the game. But it's cool. You've got fire, you've got lightning, you've got that sort of stuff that kids always dream of having on real life, I guess.
Yes, I normally don't like first-person shooters, but with this one, it really got me in, and I started to play mostly because of the powers that you spoke earlier.
See, so it was your dream to have those kind of powers.
Yes, every kid's dream.
That is true. I mean, when I talk to you about video games, usually it's about League of Legends and not much else. But you really recommend this game with your whole heart. It's like
Yes, it was one of my exceptions of games that I played. As I said, I don't usually play first-person shooters because I don't fancy very much about weapons and those kind of aim skills. But with Bioshock and those plots that the game has, it really got me in, and I started to play, following the plot and the story, and really got me addicted for a long time.
Cool. The game takes place in 1960 on the underwater city of Rapture. Was supposed to be some kind of utopia, but when you get there, no utopia is to be found. It's kind of a dystopia, really, and you're kind of figuring out what happened to that city. And as you progress, not only you figure out what happened to that city, you start discovering stuff about yourself that you kind of took for granted, because you arrived there on a plane. You have a plane crash right at the beginning of the game. And you figure, okay, I just had an accident, I just found this underwater city for no reason. But then you start discovering other stuff that might involve you, and you start questioning what do you really know about your character. That's one of the points that really got me attached to it. There's a lot of cool stuff that I like about this game. The setting, obviously, it's one of the main things that grabbed me. The city of Rapture, it's really well built. It's got these little recordings spread throughout the city. Each time you listen to a recording, it's someone who's been either involved in the building, in the making of the city, and they talk about it in the early days, or how it was to build Rapture, what was the idea behind it, or it's someone talking how everything went wrong. And these little recordings that you piece through the game, they start to make kind of the shape. They start taking the shape of a puzzle.
You see the full picture.
You start seeing the big picture, and that's one of the things that I definitely liked about the game. The setting, the context, the city itself,
Scenarios.
the scenarios. Yeah, it's got a retro style attached to it, kind of a steampunk theme. And not only the city has that, the weapons you carry also have that. Unlike most shooters where you have like 5 different kinds of machine guns, here you only have one kind of machine gun, one kind of pistol, one kind of shotgun, because the game doesn't really focus on the guns. It focuses on the story. I guess that's the strongest point about this game. Don't know if you agree.
Yes, I agree with you. And the monkey wrench is also funny. One of the weapons, I think it's the starting weapon you use, the monkey wrench. I was a little shocked in the beginning when I saw that my first weapon was going to be a monkey wrench, but it was also cool because it's classic. It's classic.
And you use it throughout all the game just to save some ammo in situations
Yes.
where you kind of can sneak behind an enemy and he's alone. You're like, I'm not gonna waste bullets. I'm just gonna get my wrench.
To bed.
That is cool, though. The story is also pretty cool, like we mentioned. Not only the story of Rapture and the story of your personal character, of the character you play. You play as Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. And that stuff is cool, but I think it could have been told in a better way. If you just play the game casually without worrying too much, you get an okay story. It's not that good. There's a lot of stuff that you miss if you don't actually go find those recordings scattered around the world I think those recordings are really what brings Bioshock to life, what brings the mystery of Rapture right in front of your eyes. And just by playing the game casually, I don't think you get that. So I guess the story could have been told a little better. Stuff could have been a little more obvious. I played the game through twice to see the two different endings. There's two different endings, by the way.
Yes.
And there was stuff that I didn't know until I read the wiki. So, yeah, I guess some stuff could be a bit more obvious. Just wasn't obvious enough for me. Don't know if you also felt that.
I think that if you play constantly the game if you kept playing and spend a lot of time with the game without having many breaks and spending too many days without playing, you kind of get involved in the story, and the story makes some sort of connection and sense to you. But in the other hand, if you, for example, play one day and don't pick up the game for 1 or 2 days, you kind of let go the story, and it's a complex story, I think, and a hard plot to understand. So I think that you have to be really focused on the game for it to make sense. So I kind of agree with you in that point.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I loved the game, but also got addicted during 1 week or 2.
So you were okay with the way the story was told?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Okay. Something else that I really didn't like, but tons of games have this. But I'm gonna start a movement to stop this. Filler characters and filler missions. Stuff there is only in the game to make it longer, because the characters... It's like you start a new mission, you meet a character, that character doesn't matter for the whole story. You're just playing through that character's mission, you just met that character, you're gonna kill that character at the end of the mission. Its influence on the story, none. Its role on the game, just to make it longer.
I see what you mean.
There's a couple of those. Not too many, but I just... That stops me from going back to the game.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I never thought about it, but it really makes sense, because I see what you mean, and those characters you are referring to that appear in the game, and we do 1 mission or 2 missions for them, and then disappeared from the game and have no interest in the whole plot. Now that you mention it, I can agree with you.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff that doesn't make me want to come back. You know, you play it once and you're okay with it, but then you start thinking, I'm gonna have to play through that mission and that mission that I hated.
Yes.
And
don't make sense.
Yeah.
The kind of missions that don't make sense and don't contribute to the story.
That kind of thing also kind of turns you on or off towards a sequel. Don't know if that was the case with you, but we'll talk more about Bioshock 2 in a future video, I guess. But I don't know, after playing Bioshock 1, I guess you were kind of expecting, you were anxious to play the second? Or?
I'm a really funny guy, though. I played the first Bioshock and I was really satisfied with the one. I liked that the story ended the way it ended, and for me, if it was only one game without any sequels, I would be satisfied as much as it as it would be a sequel. So I played the game Bioshock, and at the end, it didn't grab me to play another sequel of it.
All right. So it's not a game that leaves any cliffhanger, any loose ends. So yeah, I can kind of see that. The game stands well on its own. Didn't need a sequel to complete the story.
In my opinion, yes.
All right. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Other thing that I really enjoyed in the game was the soundtrack of it. We are talking about a 1960 game, and also the scenarios, as you said. But for me, the soundtrack with themes like Django Reinhardt and also the Waltz of the Flowers by Tchaikovsky, I was really into that in that period of my life. And hearing that songs that I never had heard in a game really catch me and made me play Bioshock a little bit more and with more
enthusiasm. For those who don't know, Malhacore is a pretty big enthusiast on music. He studies music and stuff. So
yes,
to see stuff that you usually listen outside of a game, to see it in the video game and integrated that well, made you like the game even more.
Yes.
That happens to me from time to time. Any final thoughts on the game?
Really
Which
good
one-
game. Probably the best first-person shooter I've ever played. But as I said, I'm not a first-person shooter guy. So
And this is not your typical first-person shooter.
yes, yes.
You don't go in for the shooting
No,
and the first-person perspective. You go in for the storytelling, not the storytelling. I was not a fan of the storytelling, but for the story itself, for the setting the game puts you in,
yeah, the scenarios, the sound.
for the mystery surrounding the
Yes, the
game.
mystery. Essentially, the mystery.
Essentially the mystery. All right, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you to Malhacore for
Thank you.
doing this with me. And subscribe for more videos like this if you liked it, and stuff like that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.